Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, promotional products and design. They cover your brand bumper to bumper with graphic design, promo products, and print. See what Dire Oil Graphics can build for you at direoil.com. That's DYEROIL.com.
Here we go.
Totes Ya Oats.
Well, yeah. Welcome to Beers with Nigel. I'm Nigel. That is
I'm that other guy.
And before we get started, Junior, Mac, we got this one cat. He always gets mad if we don't tell him what we're drinking. New beer, not even released yet at Transparent Brewing in Grandview, Missouri. It's called Totes Ya Oats. It's a oatmeal stout, brand new on the market. But welcome to the show. We got Dave Mack of Mack Brewing from Philly. What up, son?
What's going on?
What's your son's name?
What is going on?
What's your son's name?
This is Dave. This is David the Third.
Oh, the third.
Third.
Okay.
All right.
Keeping it. This is you guys. You guys must be special. This is the first time you ever wanted to sit here with me.
Look, it's Nigel, man. Everybody loves Nigel.
We'll take that as a Dave the Third is on here. How you doing, bro?
Man, exhausted, but
are you?
Great. It's pretty exciting. Man, just it's so much. I don't even know. I can go and I can start rambling. I'm gonna just wait for you guys to ask me questions because it's a lot.
So tell us about Mack Brewing. Tell us where it is, how it came about, that sort of thing. Because I've known about it for a while, but we're trying to get some people in the Midwest to get hip to what Mack Brewing is. So tell us who Mack Brewing is.
Mack Brewing Co. is up and coming brewery and planning, so to speak, coming out of West Philadelphia. Our first release, well, not release, but our first beer that we've got to the lips of the people is our Mack IPA, 10%, not the typical. I don't call it a double. I don't call it an imperial. I just call it IPA. Because at the end of the day, all my friends, none of my friends went to craft beer spots with me. So, and if they do drink craft beer, a lot of them do not like IPAs. So
right.
my whole thing was to one, bring more of my friends of Black people to craft beer. I went to college in North Carolina. I went to college in Charlotte. And Charlotte was not what it is right now when I was in school, when it comes to the craft beer scene. And I remember when places like Saloon had just opened, and they wasn't even on diners, dive-ins, and drives. They wasn't even on there because they didn't have food. It was just beer. It was a bottle shop.
Right.
And I walked in after I graduated, and they had this whole other side and this. So it was the idea behind Mack Brewing Co. was to really, like I said, bring more people to the culture, from my culture, to bring it to Philly. It wasn't a lot. I didn't even know all of the other Black-owned breweries before I went to Fresh Fest, but I knew we didn't have any in Philadelphia.
Right.
So now I'm one of three in the state. You have Harris Family Brewery in Harrisburg, and you have two locals that's also in Philadelphia as well. So just to be in company with those guys and just to be a trendsetter when it comes to my state, my city is pretty good. And get to have my son watch me, so that's a whole nother great feeling in itself.
Dave the Third. Dave the Third is in the house.
There's no better pride.
He just poured himself some chocolate milk.
So he's drinking on the show. I ain't mad at it.
How do you go? Clearly.
So
very resourceful 4-year-old.
I never. Hey, the dad's starting a brewery, so that just tells you a little something about
He's got to learn to pour.
early in the game. You know
Man,
what I'm saying?
he helps me.
Start the
Put the
basics.
labels on.
Yeah,
He helps me
there you
put some
go.
labels.
So, what got you into? If you think back to when you started liking craft beer, what got you into? We asked everybody that comes on here, what was that beer that you were like, because we know we were all drinking some bullshit before, right? But then there was that one thing you're like, oh, hold on now, what is that? What was your gateway?
The crazy part is I was already on a whole nother path. What got me into craft beer was cigars.
Really?
And I was smoking cigars probably. I was not probably. I had been smoking cigars since I was about 10. So by the time it was crazy, my parents would probably beat my ass if they seen me with a pack of cigarettes. But a cigar, no one ever said anything.
Because that's
And better yet,
classic.
I couldn't even buy a pack of cigarettes, but I could buy a cigar.
Really?
Really?
And once I got older and I was able to drink, I didn't like the hard liquor in the summertime. Like I said, I went to school in the South, so I needed something nice to drink. And the first thing was Victory Summer Love.
I know that brewery, but I don't know that beer. What is that beer?
That damn, you can put me on the spot. It's a
It sounds like something light in the summer. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
light. I can't think of the style. It's definitely light. It's not a pilsner though. That's Victory Summer Love, and then it was Brooklyn Summer, Brooklyn
Yeah.
Love. It
Yeah.
was something from Brooklyn Brewery, and from there I got turned on to this small microbrewery in Philadelphia named Nottingham. It was on
Yep.
15th and Sansom.
Yep.
So you couldn't even buy beer outside of like you had to come. They didn't can it. They didn't keg it. After I graduated college, I did order myself a keg and had it, and no one knew what I was drinking. But that's what got me on. That's what got me into it. And I just started experimenting from there. Like once I started like really studying beer when I was in North Carolina, when I was in Charlotte, I was seeing a lot of like um Yingling, the Yingling porters, the Yingling black and tans. And I'm from Philly. And these are not typical like Yinglings that you see in stores.
Yeah,
So in
same
my
here.
mind, I started like, being a acquisitive person, like, well, why the hell is all this Yingling here? And I don't never see this when I go home. Like, I gotta go
Right.
way out, whatever to go get this. And then I started like, oh, Yingling, I don't know if they'll do, but Yingling had a brewery in like Florida or something like that. That was like bridging the gap between, Philly
Right.
and in the South. So then I started like doing a deep dive into beer from there. Like, okay, well, who owns this or who owns that? Why is this? And why are they here? And I took a trip to Texas and I couldn't buy it. Couldn't find it.
Yeah.
They only
There's
had
none in
China.
Missouri here either. Can't get it.
Yeah.
Here.
So from what I gathered back when I did my research on it, and this might be like hearsay, it was Budweiser and Coors paid England to stay on the other side.
That's a story I know too. I think that's the real story actually.
So
they're like, "Fuck you, stay away."
And when I started doing that research, that's what got me looking into black people in beer. And of course, at that time, I didn't see anyone.
Right.
But I did come up with People's Brewery in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, by Theodore Mack Sr. So once I seen that, it like it really triggered me to I was already starting to like homebrew a little bit, and once I seen that, I said, okay. I was playing with the idea of starting a brewery, and this is like back like 2012, 2013. And once I seen that, I was like, oh, wow, no, this is it. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So when I started doing the research, that's why it was like real big for me to see um, to come to Fresh Fest that year. It was in 2019. And I seen that one of the sponsors was Pabst. Because another story, how it goes, People's Brewery would have never went out of business if they didn't go out of business. Pabst Blue Ribbon wouldn't be what it is today. So that was like a big like, oh shit, like for me.
Yeah.
But long story short, that's how I got in beer, and just being inquisitive about the business, how it travels from this place to that place, and just the exclusiveness of beer. You see what I'm saying? Like we can look at all types of spirits and wine, and it's always mass distributed and it's always everywhere else. But it's like just something as simple as you being in Kansas, and it's beers that you can't get. That I can get, but it's beers you can get that I can't get. I think that's what's like.
I have to correct you. We ain't in Kansas. We in Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri.
I apologize.
No. That's it. Everybody gets
for us. That's personal.
Because people think, oh, it's Kansas City. No. There's a Kansas City, Kansas. Not the same. Kansas City, Missouri. It's all good. I'm just giving you shit.
Kansas, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah.
I know. I couldn't remember which Kansas it was. I know that one. I remember you definitely made that point at Fresh Fest. So I didn't want to say it wrong. I would just say Kansas. I didn't want to say the wrong one.
Now, if you say Kansas City, you're good. You covered everything because it's all love between both states. You know what I'm saying?
There's the state line is actually a road.
Yeah, state line road. One side of the street is Missouri. One side of the street is Kansas. That's a real thing.
And you know what's crazy? I went to school with someone from Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah.
I went to college with one, and he was. I know the beef between what I really gets. That's why I'm just going to say Kansas.
So where did you go to college at? What was your major?
I went to Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my major, believe it or not, was music business and technology.
Makes sense. Now you're a brewer.
Can I tell you something?
My first job out of school was with CBS Radio.
Really?
I don't know anybody with a music business degree that stayed in music business.
What was your master plan? What were you thinking when you were going to do that?
With that, I started. Well, it wasn't until I got to college I wanted to be a producer. I love music. So from being in college, once I started like being in the studio with other like artsy people, I realized, okay, the producer, executive producer maybe, because I'm not about to sit here and argue with you about this snare drum, that snare drum, and why we shouldn't use this. I'm good. Call me when you're done the song, and then I can apart from there. So that was the first step. That was sophomore.
So you want to be Diddy.
Man, like I never wanted to be known, so I never wanted to be in the spotlight. I wanted to be behind the scenes, dig back in the book and read about me. I really wanted to be an A&R. At the time when I was in college, A&Rs were like becoming obsolete, and you can tell when it comes to A&Rs, like their whole job is to get that artist prepared and right for mainstream America. And when you look at a lot of these artists that are coming out now, you can tell it's nobody they're doing. You can tell by how they're being presented, what exactly they're saying, what they're talking about on social media and everything like that. And it's just not a good look for them. So that was my whole thing. I wanted to be an A&R. And it's crazy because when I did my senior paper, I was going through like record labels, and then CBS came up and how CBS transformed from a record label to what it is now. My first job was in CBS Radio. But music business, man. Music business. And then I was always on the night scene. So I was doing promotions for radio station. And it was always like, I got the windows open, excuse me. It was always like a party. I was always at the clubs. It was always like a what do you call them? Like the the liquor and beer reps. I was always running into them, and that started like being real interesting to me.
So at what point, you obviously were diving deep into craft beer. At what point did you think, you know what, I'm gonna brew my own? Because that's a leap.
A leap it is. What did I do? I went to, in Charlotte, it's a thing called Bartender's Ball. And it's pretty much a black tie affair to get shit-faced. That's pretty much what it is. In a nutshell, that's exactly what it is. Everyone gets a tux or a suit, and they just get fucked up. And I worked for the radio station, so I didn't have to pay for a ticket.
Hey. So I worked in radio. I know how that goes.
I started doing that every year, and I started looking at like these different like brands that are being promoted and everything. And of course, that's NASCAR country down there. So I started seeing the music, and it's like we're always, especially hip hop, pop culture. It's always about liquor. It's always about liquor. Half that shit is disgusting, but they put so much money behind it.
Yeah.
And then it came to like beer, but these same people that promote these liquors love beer. So I said, well, why isn't anyone pushing this? Like, why do I have to go to a big Crit concert to actually get a okay selection of beer versus if I go to Beyonce, Jay-Z, I get Coors Light, Miller High Life, all this. But y'all got the budget.
Some bullshit.
So again, that was curious. That was what got me into it. Like that's what got me started like studying that aspect.
So what was the first thing you brewed?
The brew. It was after that. Damn, you did ask me about brewing. I apologize. I'm thinking about this food. I just opened it. And I got this beef pepperoni pizza. You can eat a piece of pizza on the podcast. It's all good.
No, we're good with that.
Hey, I'm just listening. Well, see, I ain't want to eat. I'm from my grandma from South Carolina. If you ain't got enough to share, you got to eat it around the corner. But since you said Jack, trust me, you can get a foil.
It's all good. If you need to take a bite, trust me, weirder things have happened on this podcast.
Yeah.
Trust me.
And we got no problem talking to fill space.
Get your eat on, son.
So what happened was I started looking into I actually started dating this young lady. I was in Philadelphia and she lived in South Philly. South Philly has like, some of the apartments are big, but a lot of them are like studio apartments. And she was homebrewing. And at the time I'm thinking about beer, but I'm thinking like you need this massive space to even come up with the smallest batches of beer. Because again, I'm from the hood. I don't know. I know people that drink beer. I don't know not a soul that makes it. And everywhere I see is big ass places that make beer. Even the small places are big. And she was making a stout. I'll never forget it. And it was actually pretty fucking good. And I said, "This all you need?" She said, "She got like apartment kitchen, and she brewing beer." I said, "Oh, all right, a pot." And I said, "Cool." I went back down Charlotte. I had a whole sunroom that was like it was a screened sunroom, like outside the house where they had the screens, everything in it.
Yeah.
I brought my first kit because how did I buy it? I was a college recruiter. So I never forget, I used my Marriott points to buy my first beer. I never forget that. And then they tried to send me the wrong one. And I had to call them like, no, this ain't the one I ordered. And they sent me the rest of it. It was good. It was.
That is awesome.
That's fantastic.
I tell you, for the folks out there, get your Marriott points together and get you a beer brew kit.
Start collecting your travel points.
Right.
So you can get a kit.
So
people sleep on them. When I first graduated and I got my job, I was buying everybody Christmas gifts with travel points.
Not only we talk about beer here, we're educational about your money. Let's be real.
Look, it's a financial show. Wait, no.
It's about to be shit. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
So you brewed a stout.
I didn't brew a stout. I actually started my first, and I didn't know it was like such a hard thing to do, or people like are scared to do it. My first thing out the gate was an IPA, a West Coast IPA.
That's not where normally people start. You know, that's like saying, well, you know, my first beer, I brewed a Pilsner. Most people don't start there. You know what I'm saying?
With there, and it actually, the crazy part is I had throwaway batches. I've had more throwaway batches up to this point now than I did when I first started.
You're not just hustling those to your friends. Here, drink this.
No, I
need this disappear.
My name is my name. I can't have you saying nothing.
I guess you do have your name on the brewery. Yeah, I guess you do have your name on your shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't really.
you need a separate label.
30 years from now, they'll be on Oprah like, yeah, I had this beer back in the shit. Nope.
Look, if you're going to an interview with Oprah, you got nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
You know. At that point, it's all good.
Speaking of beer, it's mystery beer time. So you know, I bring Nick 3 mystery beers. So that's a golf bag. It might have been stolen. We don't call it stolen. We call it procured from a golf course. Shout out to my homeboy Tony Medina. Here's the first. Hey, we keep it classy. Brown paper bags, baby.
All right, what we got?
Brown paper bag. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, let's see what's
I don't think I would trust it any other way.
What you got in there?
Let's see. We have.
And I had to rush to get these beers together because I was running around. I was like, I had hit the Frigidaire. I was like, let me get these beers. What is that? I just grabbed it. Look cool.
Cosmic Eye Brewing out of Lincoln, Nebraska. It's the beauty of forgetting. It's an IPA.
Okay. Speaking of IPAs,
Junior, that's a 6.4%.
6.4.
Don't get mad at me, Junior.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess we're gonna go higher than that on the ABVs. So.
Well, look, you've been going high lately. I'm just saying.
Well, no, the last podcast I had like a 3.2, so there's that. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, wait, what kind of pizza you eating, son?
This is beef pepperoni pizza, and I'm looking off to the side because now my son has a laptop in front of me and wants to watch YouTube.
I mean, it happens.
Well, look, you can
send him to the Beers with Nigel YouTube page.
Oh, he watched kids. He watched kids.
You might have to turn the volume down.
He has his own headphones.
You know what? You know that's all kids should have their own headphones. Let's see what this is.
My boy was at least 13 when he first listened to Beers with Nigel.
Nice nose, yeah.
Daddy, what does shit ton mean?
50-11. Oh, that's tasty.
Yeah, that's what I have.
That's yummy.
That's a tasty.
Let me see that. Let me see that color. I like the way it looks.
Let's come on.
It's pretty.
That's
a
nice
one. And they do some nice art as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the beauty of forgetting. That's real shit right there.
Let's set that right there.
So you started home brewing. At what point in that process did you were like, you know what? I'm gonna start a brewery. And when did you think about that when you were like researching the brew game, or at what point did that happen?
I was making beer. At that time, I was making 5-gallon batches.
Right.
And I had a couple friends over, as they always came over. Cigars.
Yeah, because there was probably beer.
You got beer for us?
They come over, they say, "Oh, I don't know. What you mean you made this?" And, had them to try it. And one of my first friends, Rashad and Christian.
Shout out to Rashad.
One of my friends that passed, Christian. Both of them said, "Well, how much do you want for a case of beer?"
Of your beer?
And I said, "Shit, I don't know." Of my beer. At that time, I was creeping up on 10%. I might have been like eight and some change at that time. I said, well, shit, give me 40 for a case.
You actually sold them a case of beer? You sold them your beer?
$40 for a case. And they brought it. They came back to buy more.
Really?
All right,
that is crazy.
And went from there. And I hit the ground running. And because I moved around a lot, it's crazy talking about the Midwest because I lived in Wilberforce, Ohio for a while, for a short period of time. I was moving around so much. That's why it took so long. It didn't happen until I actually came back home to Philly. So I was in Charlotte. I went from Charlotte, working for Johnson C. Smith. And then I moved to Ohio, Wilberforce, Ohio. I was working for Wilberforce University. And I went from Wilberforce to Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is 2 hours away from my school. And then from there, I went to Elizabeth City to work at Elizabeth City State in North Carolina.
Right.
And from there, I came back home. So I started the company. I started the LLC in North Carolina.
So you were brewing all this time when you were moving around?
Yep. I was moving with beer. Like I had beer and like I'm like,
beer will travel.
I had this sitting. Had it sitting in the cardboard. I'm like, all right, I gotta figure out how we're gonna look. Where you gonna put that at? Listen, you can fuck everything else up. Don't break this.
Don't mess with my beer.
Don't mess with my beer. Like in Ohio, I moved with beer. Bottle.
Really? That's amazing. So you've been brewing for a moment, for a hot minute. At what point you're like, you know what, Mack Brew Co. is going to be a thing? When did that enter your mind? Was that why you were home brewing? You just needed to get someplace to settle and do it, or when you were like, I'm going to do this?
I was actually coming up with so many crazy names. I was trying to be so creative with having a name for a brewery. Like that's what I was doing. That's what took me so long too, because I didn't know what I was going to call it. I need a dope ass name. And it wasn't until, because my name is actually McMullen, but all my friends just call me Mac, and that's how it's spelled. And one of my friends, from my friend Isaiah, another friend from school, he was just like, why don't you just call it Matt? I was like, I don't want to use my name. He was like, it's not your name, but I see what you're saying. But why don't you just call it Matt? And he was a comm arts major. I was a music business major, and we always had classes somewhat together. So, and we in that major, we have a saying: "Kiss." I know they probably use it everywhere else. Kiss.
Right.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
And that's exactly what he said to me. Just keep it simple. I mean, he had some other profanities in the middle. But and Mack Brewing Co. was born.
How long ago was that?
And I filled out the paperwork.
Yeah.
So how long ago was it?
Came up with the name.
How long ago was it that you started Mack Brewing Co.?
Like on paper?
Yeah. Legal. Keep it legal.
2017. 2017. Oh, yeah, 2017. I was working at Elizabeth City. Yep.
So do you have a physical Mack Brewing brewery now?
Man. Excuse me. No. Working on that.
But you do have.
But you're getting it to the people.
Yeah, I've been on your Instagram, and people with cases of your shit, man. You're brewing it somewhere. Where are you brewing it at? Is it bootleg? What the hell?
I did not say that. Well, right now I'm actually looking for another location. I had a location. They didn't want me to like transform it to a brewery, but they were allowing me to brew there. Mm-hmm. And I have been like looking for places to do contract brewing, but a lot of situations, a lot of the breweries that I was looking at they weren't working off a 7-8 barrel system, so it's like it's not enough room to like have me come in. And the other breweries, it was just like it didn't make sense for me. So right
Right.
now we have our our GoFundMe going on. Because my whole thing is when I really started diving into the beer culture, at least I don't know about every city, but I know in my state you have to be distributed by third party.
Right. Yeah. A lot of places
A
are.
lot
You
of states do that.
can't sell your own beer, and I want to be able to control it from beginning to end. So we have a GoFundMe, and that's what the GoFundMe is for, to get the money to raise to have our own brick and mortar location. In Pennsylvania, you have to have at least 10 seats or more to be able to self distribute without like having because I can't own a distributing company. Like
Right.
even if I wanted to say I'm starting a brewery and then I want to own my own distributor, I can't own it.
They don't want you to do that.
No.
So, and I'm a hustler. So, the third party thing is cool. That's cool. But when you look at my state, it's one person that sells genuine. It's
Right.
one distributor that sells genuine. So you're literally just getting the beer. The beer is going to sell itself, but
Right.
you're just getting it to the different locations, and you legally are the only one that can sell it. And it's one
Right.
person that sells Budweiser in my state. It's one person that sells that. It's one person that sells Kros. And it's like, why are you being able to benefit from my hard work? Even though,
Right.
you might wrap a couple trucks with my label and,
Right.
throw a couple of dollars in the marketing aspect of it. But let's be real. I have to make it.
Right.
So
Well,
it's a beer commercial. It's a really old beer commercial. This is before like the beer scene was popping, and it was like a guy who was brewing. I don't even remember. I think it was like a credit card commercial. He was like brewing a beer, and the salesman is going to different places, putting
Yeah.
orders in, and then he's
Yeah.
calling back like, "Yeah, I just put another order." And he's like, "Oh, I think you have to expand." And it's like that's the type of relationship I want to be able to have, not put my beer in somebody else's hand that has so many other different breweries.
Right.
And then my beer is sitting there because I'm a small guy. I don't
Yeah.
have enough inventory to have my shit just sitting there while you're still selling these big names. And that's no diss to anybody's business, anybody's company.
Right.
It's just it's for one, it's not a lot of black brewers, and two, it's not a lot of black distributors.
There's probably
So,
no black distributors.
I've not heard
I'm
of
going to
any.
say zero.
And that's that
And
Drinking Partners brought that up.
and we talk about a lot of this shit on here. We have never had a distributor conversation. I don't know of any minority distributor. There's none here in Kansas City for sure. So, but to your point,
It's
but the nice
definitely
thing about the nice thing about what you're doing, your brand is already a brand, right? So your Mack Brewing is a brand which it puts you when you do get the brick and mortar and you do all that, you're already a known entity, which is kind of reverse of how breweries start, where they have to kind of build that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like so we had Stacey Ia, Rock Leopard Brewing out of London, and he's a brother, the same position as you, putting his beers out there, and his brand is dope, but
he's looking for that permanent home.
Yeah, he's looking for that permanent home. Now granted, he had some help, and some people are, and England versus, and even some of the states are different. Like you can go to Oklahoma if you were producing. One of the great places in Oklahoma is called the Brewers Union, where they get these home brewers that are all in this space, and you get to brew on the system, and you get to distribute your beer. And so in Oklahoma, we can go to whatever convenience store you have in Philly, in Oklahoma City, you could be on the shelf with everybody else. So it's unfortunate the way this country is. Every state has these. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Every state has all these different shits. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, let's level that playing field. But again, the fact that you have a
don't
brand.
tell me that because you fuck around and see me in Oklahoma.
I mean, bro, I'm telling you, there's some of the smallest breweries that are on shelves right now in Oklahoma City, and even here in Kansas City. So I work for 3 different breweries. 2 of them, one goes to a distributor. My homeboy Tony at Winship, he self distributes, and so he just takes kegs to tap rooms, and so you can be on somebody's tap. You know what I'm saying? And
And that's
just
pretty much what it was. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's
no,
definitely
go ahead,
apologize.
go ahead. So
That's really what it
go ahead.
was. I'm getting to that point. I think it's been a little bit more open during the whole pandemic thing because people, we were like, you couldn't just walk around with an open container and fill it. I mean, people do it, but you wasn't supposed to do it. So you couldn't walk out the restaurant with your beer.
Right,
You got to finish that or you got to go.
right.
And since the whole pandemic, that's how a lot of restaurants are staying around. So I did get a couple people like looking into it. And that's where we're getting to, but then the value started being a little too much. And when you're dealing with anything with the feds, they ain't worried
Yeah.
about no small fry. They
No.
waiting for you to get up here. Once you get here, that's
Yeah.
coming for that ass.
That's what they want to fuck with
I
you.
see it going, and I said, let me calm down. So the whole idea that was not on purpose, and I'm glad you said that. I went to build a brand because when I look at a lot of different breweries, this is no diss to anyone. I'm a sneaker fanatic. I love my Dunks. I love Nikes. I love sneakers in general, but I love Nikes, and I love Nikes because once the sneaker game uh, started blowing up, like before it was a sneakers app when people really had to go wait to go get the shoes, or you had to just buy it online and hope that the website didn't crash. They never promoted sneakers. Let's think about this. Like, think back. I want you to think back to like all the Jordans before they were retro.
Right.
You seen a player playing in a pair of sneakers at a game.
Right.
And I'm still trying to figure out how the hell do we even notice the sneaker that was on his feet looking at the analog TV? Because you look at some of them old games, it's like, how the fuck could we even keep up? This shit's hurting my head. When you look at some of the old games with ESPN.
There weren't any commercials.
No, I mean, that wasn't a thing until the Jordan.
It wasn't a thing. The player played in the shoe. Then it might, if you're looking in the late 90s, it may be a commercial, or you seen a player playing in the shoe, and then you walk past a Foot Locker or something, and you see a poster of the shoe was on the way.
Or a magazine
or you
ad
see
or
a
some
poster, stuff like that. Then they started coming out with commercials and things of that nature. But after that, now you have less people watching TV. I see an ad on my phone, I'm turning it off and turning it back on because I don't want to see any of that. So now what they started doing was they were sending shoes to influencers. I'm going to find the sneaker blogger who has the most following, the most views, and I'm going to send them this sneaker that costs me maybe $5 to make.
Right.
But I'm about to charge $250 for it.
Right.
What am I losing with that? I'm not paying them to do anything, but they're so excited to have this shoe before anybody else.
To get some free shit.
Now they're going to talk about.
You
gotta show a picture.
You send me some free shit. I'm gonna hype you up.
Like, hey, for anybody out there, you send us.
You got to, because now it's something that everybody can't get.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, you're exactly right.
Send us beer.
No, I mean, literally, what's his name from Rock Leopard in London? When he wanted to come on, he's like, "But I'm going to send you my beer first." He sent us beer from London. It was crazy, and we drank the beer as we talked to him. Because
that was good beer too.
Yeah, it was good beer, and that gives it more reach. I mean, you're exactly right.
I am so upset. I'm so upset that I didn't get the beer because I'm not gonna lie. If you didn't remind me, like I've literally been. I wake up in the morning. It's pre-K. In between pre-K, because he's online with pre-K.
Right.
I'm doing research. I'm planning a cookout, as I just said. It's trying to make it work, and you're getting a beer. It's going into mail this.
Look, that's not a problem.
That beer will make this show.
Speaking of beer.
Cool.
Well, while he's grabbing,
and to go back what I was saying, it was okay.
Well, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Cool. To go back to what I was saying is just like Nike didn't pay for marketing. They might just started getting back into it. Of course, I haven't been studying it because I've been out of school. But they didn't pay for marketing; just send it off for people to talk about it. So when I first got the labels together, when I went to Fresh Fest, I only bought a 6-pack because I didn't expect it to be how it was. I thought it was just going to be like a regular beer festival.
No.
So I had six. I literally had 6 beers, and I let a couple people taste them. And I had the VIP, so I was there with Garrett Oliver. And I don't know how people knew Garrett Oliver was there, and I was the only one that actually brought my Oxford Book of Beer with me.
Yeah.
And I had him sign it. So my sister was like,
shit.
"You should take him the beer." And I said, "Nah, man, he ain't trying to take my beer." So mind you, my sister is the quiet one. My older sister, she's the quiet one. I'm more of the outgoing, kind of outspoken person. And she's like, "Yo, take him your beer." I'm like, "Nah, I ain't trying to be all up on you. Everybody's in his face." She was like, "He's at a fucking beer festival. He's drinking beer.
Right.
Give him the beer." And I said, "You know what? You make perfect sense." And I got him the beer. He looked at me and he said, "This is a well balanced beer.
Shit.
This is delicious. I like this." And I left there and hit the fucking ground running. By that time, 2000 January 1st, 2020, 12 a.m., I launched the website. And it was going after that.
There you go. But think about it. Your sister was right, because people might think, "Oh, it's Garrett Oliver." There's still a lot of people in the beer game that have no idea who he is. You know what I'm saying? Now the people who know who he is, and
I wasn't even the traveling beer guru, and I knew who he was.
But I know a lot of people have never heard of him. Black, white, green, yellow. Who's Garrett Oliver? I'm like, are you kidding me? So and he's super cool. Because I met
down to earth.
I met him at Fresh Fest, and I saw him at the one beer festival I went to last year, the Half Brewing, that Pastry Town. He was there. Brooklyn was there. Obviously, it was in New York. It was in Brooklyn, and he remembered me from Fresh Fest, and he was cool. He's like, "Whatever you need me to do, I'll do." He's one of them cats.
I don't think anybody can forget you from Fresh Fest that year.
Bro, I came up in there. I was like, "Yeah, we're about to make this shit happen." Dude, I don't know about you. That was a watershed moment for me. This is the reason this podcast is a thing. Is because when I went to Fresh Fest, I'm like, "Oh, look at all these black people in here. They're out there. And we have no idea."
I had no fucking clue.
You and me both. When I went to the symposiums on that Friday, I was like, "Well, goddamn." So, and literally here in Kansas City, there's maybe a handful, maybe 8 or 9 brothers, sisters that are into beer, and I'm like, "Oh, we're missing a whole audience," you know what I'm saying? So this year, me and Nick will be there.
We're going.
So are you going this year?
Barrel and Flow?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I just got off the phone with Trogs and Harrison. Brewer. We have a collab beer.
Oh shit! Are you kidding me?
Well done.
No shit, son.
I have another collab beer with Montclair Brewery.
Really?
So
it's gonna be. That's the first breaking news on this podcast. Breaking news.
We're getting first.
Dude, that's
so
awesome.
And I will be there. So other than the Juneteenth cookout on June 19th in Philadelphia, it's a secret location. You have to RSVP. Okay. Please bring your ID. There is no guest. You RSVP. Everyone RSVP for themselves.
Right.
And you will get the location 2 hours before the event.
I'm like, how far is
We don't want people
Philly
just
from
parking out.
Kansas City?
Yeah, I was trying to think,
I'm
like, how long
far
a
is Philly
drive
from
is
Kansas
that?
City? Because you put that on Instagram, I was like,
Yeah, I literally before we got on, I literally just posted the actual flyer with the information, and tomorrow
did
the
you?
link will open up for
Okay.
people RSVP. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's that, and then after that, I'll be at Barrel and Flow. That's September, and then to go back, like you said, like coming from Fresh Fest, that was a battery in my back, bro. Like I
Yeah.
don't give a shit what anyone says. If you say you don't like my beer, I mean, I take it in. I hear you.
Right.
It's not for you. Garrett Oliver told me he liked my beer. I don't care. It's
Look, I'm with you.
I may make one down the line that people don't like this.
Yeah, that's some crazy validation from one of the 19 master cicerones in the world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he would, and he's the type of guy, because when I talk to him, you know, he's like, there's some beers here that are really good, and there's some beers that are not. He keeps it real. I mean, why blow smoke up your ass if you're trying to be a brewer and your shit ain't good? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, keep it G with me. If you don't like it, if it's I think I'm on Untapped, and I didn't know how easy it was to like get everything on Untapped. So I had my stuff. Well, I'm not gonna say easy. It's like you can't do it when you work at a job. But I got it on Untapped, and I started reading some of the comments, and I looked at like one of the comments, and it was just like, "Oh, this fucking beer is terrible. This is a chugging beer." And I was on another podcast, and they were like, "A chugging beer? Is that a bad thing?" I chug all my beers, so it's like to me, it makes me want to drink it more.
Well, you got to take
like,
Untapped. You got to take Untapped with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of uneducated, uninitiated people on there that are like, I had to chastise one of my dudes the other night at a brewery that I work at, and I'm sitting next to him, and he checked in this beer, and so it was basically a variant of a beer that we have, and it had coffee in it, and he checked in on Untapped. Well, it's 2.25. I'm like, you tell me why. I said, is it badly made? No. I said, well, you just don't like it. That doesn't mean you put that shit on there. Somebody's gonna be like, oh, I don't want to drink that. I said, dude, you go around the city and drink all this beer, and you can't despair. Now, if there's something wrong with it, absolutely. And especially if there's something wrong with it, you need to put a description in. As much shit as you check in.
Why it's wrong.
Don't put a fucking a bad rating on it because you don't like coffee. My homeboy made this beer. He does a coconut stout, right? And a coconut porter. And so he did a soured version of it. What wasn't my jam, still well made. Those two things together, you give me I'll take the coconut porter and the sour separately. I didn't like them together. Did I disparage them on Untapped? I hate when people do that, and I will call them out every time. That's just one of my pet peeves.
And it was just,
you know what I'm saying? So you have to take that shit with a grain of salt. Open that
I think what he was talking about at the brew festivals, though, I think with the brewer community, though, they want to make you better. They're not just going to say that's bad beer. They're going to say,
yes,
let me help you out.
Well,
let me give you some suggestions.
I had a conversation with a guy today at a brewery, and
oh boy,
he thought that there's too many in one spot. I said Kansas City has 48 breweries, 48. You know how many people here? 700,000 in the metro. Oh, million. I'm like, we ain't got no breweries. That's nothing. Yeah. Go to Chicago, talk to Apple Beer Chick. What they got 170.
And they got room for more.
Man, we haven't even. You deal with this as a brewer because you're out there putting your beers out. A lot of people have never had the type of beer that you're brewing. You know what I'm saying? So, and we're still a small niche of beer drinking. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So anytime somebody like you is starting up, I'm like, there's plenty of drinkers out there.
Get your beer out there.
I don't understand because it's plenty of beers that like just rub me the wrong way. if I give it a bad, it's like, all right, I was expecting this. It told me it was gonna taste like this. It didn't taste like this. If I'm giving it a bad rating, that's why I'm giving it a bad rating. It just wasn't for me. I'm not really. My sister is more of the porter drinker. I do drink porters, but that's not my go-to. I like IPAs, but when it comes to my IPA, it's a more of a the hop is going to hit you more on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a front heavy beer. It's not a West Coast style IPA. I don't know what style of IPA I would put it in. Maybe I'm creating my own lane with it. I don't know. But I think we take IPAs and people just go fucking overboard with the hops. It's like, bro, won't you go get a dictionary? Not Wikipedia. Go get a dictionary and read what an Indian Pale Ale actually describes.
Fair.
It's a bit of a hoppy flavor and aroma. Not trying to burn the back of my fucking throat.
That's fair. That is fair.
When I talk to people, even beer enthusiasts, and they tell me, well, I wouldn't name it an IPA, or I wouldn't call it this, or why didn't you call it a double? Okay, let's not get caught up on the triples, the doubles, and blah blah blah. I've seen a lot of people call something a double that's fucking 7.5%.
Absolutely.
I don't know why you're calling that a double, but hey, who the fuck am I to tell you what to name it? You know what I'm saying? It's beers named and do all types of crazy shit. Let them do it if it works for them. If it sounds good and it works, and they're not lying to you, shut the fuck up and let them do it.
Now I want to do a whole line that's just lying to people. Actually, I want to misname them all.
We're just gonna oh yeah, we're gonna call it this, or I wouldn't call it that, or it doesn't really give me a IPA taste. Well, what the fuck is an IPA taste? Because tell me.
I mean.
See, now I want to make a lager and call it a stout.
No. You know what territory he's in right now. It's like we had Melissa Cole on here from England.
Don't say hoppy.
Then she's like, what? She's like, what the fuck does hoppy mean? Because her story is she had this great story when she first started judging beer. She went to this. It was all dudes and her, right? And she was like, I taste what she said, rhubarb or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, she went and total detail.
Yeah, and they gave her shit, and come to find out it was a rhubarb beer. So she's like, any description, she's like, what does that mean? Because obviously she's a high level cook and a high level brewer and a master cicerone, so she knows flavor. But she's like, people get caught up in these words. Well, it's hoppy or whatever, it's malty or what the fuck does that mean? I don't know what malt tastes like. Malt liquor?
Oh God, I hope not.
Well,
it's malty. It's to this. It's to that. If you taste that, you know what that tastes like? That's fucking alcohol, asshole. and it's probably a very strong or high gravity beer. That's why it's tasting like that.
Yeah,
I
really
could have used a couple different, agents to slice it up. Maybe a different variety of hops, or change up the grains a little bit to probably try to cut that a little bit. But just say you don't like the taste of boozy beer. You don't want to feel like you're drinking.
Yeah. Well, this one right here.
I don't get that. I like all boozy.
This one ain't boozy. This is
glorious.
Beach pies from a cross strain in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm not even sure it's a sour.
It's a sour key lime pie.
Yeah.
What?
Graham
I
cracker.
love key lime pie.
Yeah, and it tastes like
this is glorious.
It tastes like graham cracker and shit. It's really well done. That's actually a really good brewery I've been to a couple of times. Yeah, they do wonderful shit.
Become deep Midwest. I mean, Midwest is definitely beer country, but
bro.
But you come out, we're gonna do a tour. We'll take you around.
Listen, let me get. I got a few more days. Let this fasting get done. Only thing I'm bringing is gallons of water.
So you're a smart man.
Two beers, one water.
It took a lot of college years to get it right.
You got to be educated to do that. So is your go-to style like IPA? What else are you brewing right now?
Right now I have and the only reason I don't have it, I'm sending that to you guys as well. It is a lemongrass and honey ale. and that is 14%.
What? Hold on. How the hell did you get it to 14%? What the hell? Did you boil the shit out of it? What did you do?
Man, honey.
Okay,
Really?
okay. The sugar. I got you.
And the crazy part is, I was just telling John over at Trogs not too long ago, like, I was actually trying, because everybody was so scared of my IPA because it's 10%.
They were scared of it.
I was just like, all right, let me make something quote unquote more drinkable. You know,
Okay.
something more drinkable. I want to drink more than just one.
Oh my God.
All right, cool. So I tried to create something around like 6-7%.
Right.
It came out to be fucking 14.
I tried to make it more drinkable.
What had happened was.
But it's actually, as you got taste it, it's like if I didn't tell you it was 14%, you would have knocked it back, and then
and then,
oh shit,
and then try to stand up.
Real. Yeah, it's actually dope. And then I have a very, very, very limited damn, I can't even think about what style this is. It is a I'm having a brain fart, excuse me.
You can do it.
It's 19.6%.
What?
Why can't I think of the fucking name?
I mean, does it need a name at this point?
I think you can just name it 19.6%.
It's 19.6%. It's a high noon. I'm really trying to think about the style of beer, and I'm really having a brain fart. It's oh man, whatever. It's high noon. You can look it up on what? Here we go. It's on Untapped. Why?
Are you gonna look it up?
I can't think of it. I gotta look up my own beer. Isn't that's a piece of shit?
I mean, that happens. I look up shit all the time.
I think actually we did pause the show once just to look something up.
Yeah, was that the year-end show?
It might have been. Yeah, our poor attempt at a look back at the end of the year.
Hey, Junior.
Barley wine. Why couldn't I?
Barley wine. Right on. Right on.
It's a barley wine. It's an English barley wine. It's 19.6%. I just sent it to somebody, and the can was actually perfect, and they got it, and it was like, damn, they're about to explode. So that's a dope one as well. But that one, so right now we took the stickers and everything off. If you said you were going to the website, the stickers got you, a free gift. It was a 6-pack.
Right.
Now we're just doing the GoFundMe. So we have different tiers on the GoFundMe that get you different beers. So it's like $70 to $100 will get you a 4-pack of the IPA. And then from 101 to like 200 is the IPA and the lemongrass. And then as you're going higher, then you get a 4-pack of everything. So once once the high noon, that's what it's called, high noon, the barley wine is gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And because I really wanted to focus on one, so I make a lot of the IPA. The lemongrass is definitely going to be the next one that I start pushing, and I really want to start pushing that like once I actually get a brick and mortar, because I don't want to just have like 2 beers. Like I know this one, how people are building their brands and building their breweries. I don't want to be a guy with an up and coming brewery, but I have 5 beers out here.
Right.
If I have collabs, that's different. But I want to focus on to the point that I can make this in my sleep. Then you get to the next one, and I want to just build it up slowly, because my goal is to not have 20, 30 beers on tap. It might be, a couple that you can only get limited edition, special editions that's only going to be at the tap room, just to bring in more traffic. And then you have, the ones that's always going to be around. But I really just want to build the brand, and I want people like Yingling. You don't think of another style of beer. You think about their lager. You don't think about
right. But, yeah. So when they came out with that other shit, I was like, Yingling makes other beers.
You see what I'm saying? And they've been making it for a while.
But only like the first time I came across like that shit was in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like even like you remember at Fresh Fest, it was like the
Pat's had something over
the
there.
Pabst had that coffee shit, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't know y'all made this.
And it was, and as much as I didn't want to love it, I did love it. And now it's come here, so they do a Pabst coffee beer.
Never heard of this.
You can get it at Fringe. It's delicious.
Yeah, I have trouble looking past the Fringe beers.
I got that beer in a pack of Pabst socks. That's what I did.
You got the socks.
The socks.
I still got them damn socks.
So what's your obviously the brand is there. So when you open, when we posted that we were going to talk to you today, shout out to our girl Lana who promotes who we're going to talk to, and she did her due diligence. But you have almost like a master plan of what you want your brewery to be and how you want to be in the beer scene. Tell us about that.
One, I want to be in West Philly. West Philly, the gentrification in West Philly is fucking insane right now. Houses are going for like $250,000. That like literally, I don't know how. I don't know.
Right.
So a lot of people are getting priced out. And when it comes to that, like where I grew up at, it's always been like the corner stores. You have the state stores because we're liquor controlled. So you can't just go to a gas station and get a beer. You can't do that in Pennsylvania. So they have these corner stores that just has like, your 211s, your Old English, all your more liquors and things of that nature. You have the bars and you don't really see the breweries. And
right.
You don't, first and foremost, you don't see black people in the breweries and you don't see breweries, period. So I wanted to kind of change the narrative in my neighborhood, right where I'm from, where I'm surrounded. I'm
right.
close to parks. I'm pretty much where you want to be. I'm from West Philly. Like it's basketball courts in the summer, got girls there. It's a real thing.
Have you had any pushbacks? Has it been hard to change that narrative and get your story out?
It hasn't been hard. It's just been like I've been very particular. I'm opening up a lot more now. I've been very particular with who I talk to and who I deal with because before everything, I started I went on this radio station one time and I knew about nobody else in Philly making beer, and it wasn't until I went on the radio station that people, they reached out to me. Mind you, I'm on Instagram, people reposting this.
Right.
I'm at homecoming. I got other schools trying to get me to come down to their homecoming to bring the beer. It's getting talked about. It's just not getting on that major scale. So
right.
The pushback at this present time, because the pushback would just be uncool right now. It's not cool to give any pushback right now. So It's like trying to figure out who's really with you and who's just the hype.
Right.
And if I can't identify the two, I'll just leave it alone.
And you just got to push forward anyway. I mean, regardless of any of that. You got to push forward.
So it's like, it's not a diss to anybody. It's not like I'm just giving people a cold shoulder. People are reaching out to me and we trying to make it work. But at the same time, I don't have a location. So It's hard. It's a lot of opportunities that are coming my way that most likely are still going to be there once I get the location. It's just I don't have the location.
How hard is that? And we've had a couple others on. We had now I'm gonna have the brain fart from Ohio. Sizzle.
Sizzle from
Crafty Culture.
Crafty Culture. Yeah.
And and he talked a lot about just the real estate side of it was so hard because he wanted to own the physical, but he wanted to own the building in his neighborhood,
particular neighborhood,
right? So it wasn't a bunch of me coming in and raising the price out. So how hard is it even just that physical side?
The physical side, because the average building, my ideal location would be a storefront. I don't really want to do too much. I don't want to bust out 100-barrel system out the gate. Give me about 5-7 barrels to start with. I want a storefront. I want to be able to, get it to the restaurants, get it in the stores. Maybe more of the restaurants before the stores, right? Because I have to build up the brand, and I want to get the brand known, and I don't want to just have it at all the different beer bottle shops where I'm getting.
Nobody knows what the fuck it is.
Space. So create the buzz, build the brand, and get it out there. Buildings that I'm looking at, I can't find anything that's less than like $250. So when people look, my GoFundMe, I'm asking for $250,000, and people, I had quote unquote beer influencers, not brewers, but beer influencers who have said, well, that's a lot of money. I said, well, how much do you think it costs to start a brewery?
There's that, right?
Well, I seen, people ask for less and they got, they got their money, 50, 70 grand, they got their money. I'm like, yeah, they got their money. Where's the brewery?
Is it important for you to own the space?
I think it is. It's important for me to own the space because that will ultimately take some of the pressure off. It's a different feeling when you're paying a mortgage versus paying rent.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if you have the building, it's other things you can do it. So if I have a storefront and I got an apartment upstairs, I'm either gonna live over top of it,
right,
or I can Airbnb it. Who wouldn't travel to Philly to live over, essentially one of the first Black-owned breweries? I can get an Airbnb. You don't have to figure out where you're gonna stay. Hopefully, I can stay right here.
Right.
I'm gonna go to all the other breweries, and then when I come back, I'm gonna drink, and I'm gonna go the fuck back upstairs. So it's like when it comes to the business model, it's so many other things you can do when you own the space, because you can get a lease for 5, 10, whatever years, and you build up your brand, and you're building it up, and they know this location, so you locked in that rate for that many years. After that many years, your landlord probably does want you to renew the lease, but now they see you booming.
Right.
We gotta raise that rent up a little bit.
That's where I was going next. You gotta raise that rent.
You gotta raise the rent up a little bit. So now you're raising the rent, and then even when you think about it, look how many breweries are closed because of the pandemic, and they wasn't even open yet because they were leasing a space.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, I hear you, but I need this rent. This ain't your living. This ain't where you stay at.
Right.
You can't get no money you can't get no grant money for this. I need this rent money.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you get a space, once we hit that hurdle, because I think, like I said, your brand is already a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're in a good position to meet your goal on the GoFundMe. What's your vision of what you want to do when you get this space? Because I know you talk about it, and I know you have, but I want other people to know what your plans are.
The plan one, I really want to bring a different experience as far, and I know a lot of people say that, it's so fucking cliche. I want you to come to Philly, and I want you to get the whole experience of Philly. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have to serve food. I want to sell cheesesteaks. Because, if you're going to come to Philly to see my brewery, and right now in West Philly, there isn't anywhere. It's like corner stores that sell cheesesteaks, but this ain't where you get the cheesesteaks.
Right.
So it's like, it's nowhere in West Philly to get a cheesesteak. So not now, because they closed down Jim's. If anybody's familiar with Philly that's listening to you, Jim's is not here anymore. So I want to be able to have a cheesesteak. I want to have my beer, because I want to make it a tourist attraction. I want people to want to travel. It's a brewery anyway, but I want to switch over to the pop side of things. And I feel like when you look at a lot of different breweries right now, like even with my merch, my T-shirts, my the satin jackets and things of that nature, it's like people are all doing this cookie cutter type setup to promote the breweries. All my beer is in cans now. I don't want a beer opener. If I have a beer opener, that means you're opening up somebody else's beer. Yeah, you're looking at my beer. You probably like the beer opener, but you're not using that to open up beer. So I need to figure out ways that, what's going to help you, what's going to have you with this beer. I want people to, see my T-shirt, the simplicity of the logo. I want you to see that and say, damn, I want one of them T-shirts. Like, the whole thing is to create merch that will always make you think about it. You don't drink Pabst Blue Ribbon, but you will wear a Pabst Blue Ribbon T-shirt, though.
People will do that.
By the way, that's a classic T-shirt.
His satin jackets, though, the satin jackets.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I saw them jackets. I was like, oh my God. And like, I need any more fucking merch. I was like, I don't have a satin jacket, son.
No, you don't have a satin jacket.
Hey, man. And like, my man said it the best. I was on his other podcast. He was like, it reminded me, I seen it, and I'm like, damn. But then I did the interview. He actually was in Philly at the time, and I had my jacket on.
Yeah.
He said, listen, I seen the pictures, and I seen you in it. And it's like, it was a dope jacket in the pictures, but it doesn't do it any justice until you see it in person. And he's like, it reminds me of that, like, that 1970s Oakland Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, when's the last time you seen a satin jacket, Nick?
Well, I got my 1980 Royals World Series satin jacket.
Is satin?
Yeah.
Why have you not worn that shit?
I bring it out every once in a while. Look, I'm a little bit fatter now. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it doesn't really fit.
I don't have it with me right now because it was a little warmer today.
Well, I don't want to forget this because we've mentioned it a few times. Tell people how they can go find your GoFundMe.
Everything. If you're on any social media, Mack MACK Brewing Co. And if you go into the link in the bio, it has everything from the playlist for the cookout on the 19th. It has the cookout visuals for the 19th. It has the satin jacket. It has the GoFundMe link. It has I think we just took the shirts and everything down because now I'm going to do a pre-order for the actual Mack Blue logo T-shirt, so that way people can pre-order it. Once I drop the link for the cookout, they can pre-order the T-shirt. The T-shirt will be there when you come on the 19th. Of course, we have to have a cutoff date because I don't want you to think that you're going to order it the day of and the shirt's
You're not pressing T-shirts at the cookout?
I ain't pressing T-shirts. I can't do it all. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'll tell you one thing. You ask me what I want to do at the location. Don't be surprised if you see me with a brick and mortar and T-shirts flying from the back as well as the beer.
I mean,
there we go.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
You have to maximize all the space.
I want to know more because, again, we've talked about it a few times, just mentioned it over this conversation, but I want to know more about the Juneteenth party that you're planning, the picnic, and about pushing it out because there are a lot of people, especially, people like me, that don't know much about it.
Don't know about Juneteenth?
Right. And so I think, there is an important, and what better time than the last couple of years in America, right, to finally be pushing those things out.
Cool. Thank you. Juneteenth, don't get me caught up on my dates. Juneteenth is spelled just like it sounds. JUNETEENTH. Juneteenth. And Juneteenth was the June 19th, 1865. That was when the last batch of slaves, I want to say in Galveston, Texas, but
it was in Texas. You're right. You're right.
I don't know if it was Galveston, Texas or not, but it was in Texas, and that was the last bit of slaves that found out they were
free. Yeah,
and it has nothing to do with shunning July 4th. But when it comes to a lot of African Americans, July 4th, it's not. You can't say about being free and independent because we were still enslaved. And we were still enslaved because it wasn't until 1865 that the last group of black people found out they were actually free. So in all actuality, the slave owners knew they lost the war and they knew that they were free. But because it was free labor,
right?
They
kept it kicking.
Are you saying
so now when it comes
the white people in America took advantage?
They took advantage. So when it comes to Juneteenth, I thought about, I was actually just throwing a cookout. I was supposed to do one last year, whole pandemic, wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
This year, I was literally just throwing a cookout for my friends and my family, just come up, kick it with me, let a few of them try the beer. And I think I was getting my windows tinted. And I was sitting there, I was like, fuck it, I need to come up with events, and what better way of coming up with an event for the brand is to have a cookout. And, the world is opening up a bit. We still going to be outside. It's cookout weather. Fuck it. Throw a cookout. And literally, like the post that you see from the tweet, I literally was just tweeting it, thinking about it, and said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And literally, so this is why it's been so busy. I'm really planning a cookout. It's really me. It's just
West,
me.
West Philadelphia, born and raised. Because when he posted it, it was the Fresh Prince. I was like, really? I see what you did there.
Well, those of us of a certain age.
Well, yeah, people of a certain. Now everybody knows that shit now.
That's true.
It doesn't matter what.
It's all on HBO now.
Touche. Yeah. Did you watch it? Look, speaking of HBO, did you watch that reunion they did?
I watched it.
Wasn't that crazy?
It was. I like to finally get that out. What happened to Aunt Viv? It was just like, even as a kid, I'm like,
because nobody really knew.
Nobody knew, but nobody asked questions. It's just like Rudy. Nobody asked why Rudy went upstairs and never came back down. It's like, damn, that was crazy. And to be young and gun ho, like this was like your last. You was broke.
Yeah.
And you changed, and you kind of like that's how you came back to being who you was. And you had someone that you really fucked up their livelihood.
Yeah. So we're gonna give this Nick this last beer. He's gonna be very excited. But as he does that,
man, next time y'all interview me, I need to be in town.
Oh, but we know that's how this all started. But then COVID hit because so where we are in the studio, it's actually an old post office, and this was the vault. Yeah, it's super dope.
The bomb ass acoustics.
Yeah.
In the summer though.
Yeah. Oh, it's hot right now. Yeah. It's hot right now.
It ain't that damn hot.
I'm a fat man.
You ain't fat. You're portly.
Oh boy.
Boy.
Now a little theme of the show here is I'm a Servaes Brewing fanboy.
So we have 2 female-owned brewers in Kansas City, and Courtney Servaes. Shout out to Courtney. She does so many different beers. So for
I
Sitco,
feel like she's doing a new beer every 3 days.
Well, she released 4 beers today. So
good Lord.
So that one is speak on it.
We got Coconut Aztec Alchemist. It's an imperial stout. It's 12%.
Woo! I want to be her. That's my kind of girl.
Yeah, she's bro.
Look at everything she does.
Yeah, she's
so good.
She's on one. This is the woman that went at the good open. This is the woman that at the homebrew festivals, I would look for her. So there's a big festival here as a brewery called Crane Brewing in right outside Kansas City, and it's a homebrew festival, but it's also professionals. So they got the homebrew tents and they got the professional tents.
And well, also that's another thing about me. I didn't go through the homebrew phase. I didn't go through like the homebrew festivals. Like my friends, I was trying to win people over that didn't drink craft beer. Like my friends were Bud Light, Corona,
right,
and Coors Light. They didn't. It wasn't too many ventures. So I really want to see y'all reaction when y'all drink this stuff.
Can I just say that if we could just get people to stop drinking Corona?
Hold on, I have a whole history with Corona when I was in college.
Well, look. College beers don't count.
There's worse beers than Corona out there, son.
Look,
which one?
I was drinking $6.
You said which one? Like PBR?
I was doing $6.
Listen, man.
Keystone Light in college.
After college, broke.
Did you smell that first?
Oh my Lord!
See, that's what I'm waiting for.
That's so good.
See, that right there. I need that.
What's that's that coconutty candy bar?
Like a Mounds?
Joy?
The Mounds or the Almond Joy?
It's like the Almond Joy.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Holy moly!
Candy bar.
Yeah. No. This is an Almond Joy beer.
It's ridiculous. And it's 12%, and you can't even tell.
No, not at all.
That's the way to make them. Like, people get so scared. It's like, well, all you like is high gravity stuff. Yes. And once I get to the level, it's like the lemongrass and honey, because it's so smooth and refreshing, but it's 14%. It's like
what happened
really
was
considering serving that in an 8-ounce can.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. Like even with having my own space, it gives me opportunities to educate. Like a lot of people. Period. Doesn't even matter what color you are. A lot of people really don't know how to drink. You know, we don't learn until we fuck something up or fuck ourselves up, God forbid, that
or we drink too fucked up.
Yeah, like, and that's not how it go. Oh, you turn 21? Okay, 21 shots. Why? You're not gonna make it.
Yeah, that's a terrible
10.
idea.
And that may be 10.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to really when I look at a lot of like different breweries and I look at a lot of just craft spirits in general, we put a lot of emphasis on the history of the spirit and the history of brewing and making these drinks, but we don't put emphasis on it's a lot of people out here with problems. And now the world that we're living in with the opioids and the actual drugs, the syrup, all that lean, whatever you call it, all these other things are going on, and we're not actually looking at parents who are alcoholics. Just because they go to work every day or this and the third, they might just be functioning alcoholics, but they have a whole family, and you don't know what that family structure is like. And now that craft beer is coming to the forefront again, we're always pushing and promoting drinking, and we have jokes and we drinking all the time, high noon, blah blah blah, beer pong, and we're making drinking fun, and nobody should feel bad about having a good time if you're enjoying yourself responsibly. Let me say that first. But I think me personally, as a brewery, you have to take responsibility for that. So when it comes to like having my own space, eventually I want to be able to have like 21-year-olds coming in, so we can show them different beers or show them different drinks, and how to pace yourself, how to enjoy yourself, and how to
take your time with the flight.
These spirits.
Drink some water. Shout out to my homeboy, because you have a son, so you have some responsibility there. And shout out to our homeboy Rodney Beagle from Three Halves. He just passed away 2 weeks ago unexpectedly. Head brewer at this brewery. His sons are probably 9 or 10. But one of the things we talked about when he was on the podcast, where it was, we asked him, well, what do your sons think about you being a brewer, right? And he's like, they love it, but the one thing I'm going to do is, educate them how to drink responsibly. So, that's exactly what you're doing right now, and again, you've got a young kid, so he's looking to you to see, because you're right. A lot of people do abuse, this shit. I have somebody that thinks I'm a narcissist and an alcoholic because I like to go to breweries. I'm like, no, I'm neither of those.
And actually, I'm gonna say this: hanging out with Nigel at a beer festival is a lesson in that. Like, you are not hammered or crazy to beer festival.
So Dave, when I was at Fresh Fest, I went to the bottle share on Friday. At the bottle share, I didn't stay there that long because I was like, nope, because I went to a Steelers game. Saturday, I went to the VIP. Yeah, I was trying to do the full Monty.
Yeah.
And so the beer festival was more. Yeah, I drank some beers, but I probably talked to more people. I didn't have time to drink. It was about interfacing with these people, even at the symposium, Friday during the day. They had that first symposium. We went downstairs, went to the bar. I met Day and Ed, drinking partners, and all these other great folks. It wasn't about drinking. It was about interfacing with these people of color that I didn't know even fucking drank beer. Because even Kansas City's 30% black. Mm-hmm. Who's at the breweries mostly?
0.7% of the black people.
Yeah, me. It's me. Bro, it's me. We got one. Shout out to Des. We got one black female assistant brewer. She's a beer tender as well. But you can go to all 48 breweries, and you might see maybe one or two people of color at each time. We know for a fact that right now, besides Des, I don't know any other people of color who are even serving beer. You know what I'm saying?
And that's kind of what messed me up when I was in Charlotte, because it was like, yeah, it was in my mind that I wanted to brew beer, but just getting the questions on learning more about beer, because it's just me. I can Google and watch YouTube, but I'm here and I actually like to go out and drink beer. I like to buy pitchers of beer. and sometimes my pitchers of beer are not $20 because I don't want what you have the special on. I want the 60-minute, and I want it in a tower.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't know how many times I've been to places that like sell towers and shit, right? And I'm like, yeah, I want that in the tower. Oh man, I don't even know how to ring that up. Me and my manager. Like, so when I would go and ask questions at the breweries, that's kind of what turned me off a little bit, just me. Because they would always like, give me these fucking funny looks, or just like be very condescending on how they would answer my questions. And I'm talking about as a consumer. I'm not even a brewery. I'm not even in planning. I'm just a consumer. So like when I was like talking to a lot of people and I was like saying I wanted to start a brewery, and especially when I ran into like black people that were actual beer drinkers, like, oh, you need to just go to the breweries. I'm like, I'm good.
Right.
Like it kind of just like rubbed me the wrong way. And not saying, again, this has nothing to do, everybody's not like that.
Right.
Let me be the first one to say that. Everyone is not like that. But when you go through it at different places in the
over
world,
and over,
it kind of turns you the fuck off. At least
you're like, fuck, right.
Like, fuck this. I'm going to just do it myself. And that's why we're talking right now.
Well,
we've asked this question to a lot of guests, but how do you, though, then, as you're looking to open your own place, how do you then expand that audience? How do you get more black people to come into the tap room,
or
to the
women, or
women,
gay,
or LGBTQ community? I mean, like how do we broaden it so it's not just a bunch of bras
with beards?
I think honestly, the way we're going about it now, bringing it more to the forefront. Being able to talk about it on these podcasts, bringing it mainstream.
Right.
I think this is, going back. I don't think it was this many podcasts, this many like beer influencers that were this popular back in 2012.
Bless little Dave.
He's watching.
He's locked in, man.
He's locked in. I don't think it was that many people back in 2012. So now when you're like,
absolutely.
When I'm looking at Instagram, even like with just going to Explorer page, like if I just grab my phone and look at the Explorer page, somebody's on there with a beer or talking about some type of craft beer. And that's what's going to bring them there. That's what's going to bring more people there. We're talking about it. It's more black beer. It's more black breweries opening up. And at a certain point, you're not going to be able to talk about beer without going and doing some research and doing some and having us pop up. It's impossible.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, as an individual, just my name alone, Google don't pop up for shit for me. You Google my whole name, it's going to be a white guy. It's not going to be me. You Google Mack Brewing Co. and it's a whole bunch of my pictures. It's like, oh,
right.
This is real. This is a real thing. This shit is unbelievable. Like, to see, like, to hear you talk about it, like, as a brand, like, oh man, you're getting your name out, this and third. Like, bro, this shit is unreal to me. Like, I still don't believe it.
Well, I think it's time to believe
there
it.
Yet.
It kind of goes like to, Marcus from Weathered Souls. When he did Black's Beautiful, when we had him on, that was not his expectation.
No.
His expectation originally was to do one beer at his brewery. And then his mentor, Jester King, was like, yo, you can make it bigger. So remember his goal was, he said, I want 12 breweries to do this beer.
Well, his goal was because he wanted to do something, but he didn't feel like he could be in the forefront because he was focused on his business.
But his goal was like, I'm going to do, if I can get 12 breweries to brew this beer. 12. No, he went to 1,200.
He went around the world, man.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He went around the world twice. Like,
and I had somebody on Twitter.
It's at freaking Walmart now.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter was like, I don't know about the Black's Beautiful thing, blah blah blah. I said, you don't know him. This is whatever it is now. That was not his plan. And I had to quell somebody on Twitter. I'm like, no, it wasn't a marketing ploy. It's a brother who was concerned about fucking social justice, and his whole plan was to do one beer to donate to a cause,
one local charity
in San Antonio. the fact that it turned into what it was,
bro,
beautiful.
You can't buy that type of publicity. And the crazy part is, it wasn't a marketing stand. It wasn't a marketing ploy, because for real, if you ask somebody who actually is really into beer, but they don't follow that much, but they know what Black is Beautiful is, they don't know what Weathered Souls is.
Now,
Weathered Souls doesn't even pop up.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's part of it. Is like that was a truly genuine movement.
And
I think people caught on.
And granted, shout out to Afro Beer Chick, because she was like,
she's been on it.
She was like, how many of these breweries have actually donated their money? Let's show
the receipts,
because that's a real thing as well. And I know people got sideways because founders fucking brewed the beer, and you know how Black people think about founders.
Yeah, man.
Well, founders, you know what I'm saying?
And with that, that's why I've been kind of treading lightly on how I'm moving, and that's really what I meant. I don't know who's really, all right, let's get you in the door,
right?
Or hey, yeah, bring your beer here. We're gonna do it here, because if I got this type of following with no brick and mortar, no product placement anywhere,
right?
What am I gonna do for you if you have an establishment? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
no, and that's actually a really good question to ask when somebody wants to, quote unquote, give you a hand up or a hook up or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Shout out to Stacey IA from Rock Leopard. I mean, Cloudwater, the dude from Cloudwater. Now Cloudwater in England right now, they're hating them because they took. This is the crazy thing. People are hating on it because they're putting these beers. It's like the equivalent of putting craft beers in Quick Trip or 7-Eleven or something like that, right? But what Cloudwater did, they took four craft brewers that didn't have spaces, that were small, put them in a 4-pack and put them in these stores. That just changed the game for all 4 of those breweries. So it's a mixed 4-pack of all these breweries, and it's either a woman, a Black person, a gay person in a 4-pack in the store. No. People in England are tripping about it. I'm like, no, they just put these people on a stage that they couldn't get on. So now it's like, now granted, people are bitching because of, the beers aren't expensive enough. They're more expensive at the brewery. No, you put it in a 7-Eleven or whatever convenience store you have in Philly. If we put your beer in there, that would change your fucking life.
Change it.
So I get it. Sometimes craft beer people can be purists, blah blah blah, yada yada.
Listen,
don't be a beer
hipster. Fucking purist if you don't open. At the end of the day, a lot of people, you can be a purist all you want. If you're that much of a purist, then you wouldn't be trying to make a fucking profit on what you're doing.
Right.
That's beyond being a purist at that point. You doing it because you love it.
I mean, think about it. Goose Island out of Chicago, love them beers. They do some really nice beers. You can give me a Sophie anytime. They're owned by InBev. All that did for them was give them the money to do whatever the fuck they wanted. Same thing with Boulevard. Boulevard in Kansas City. Now, granted, when they went with Duvel. Now, Duvel does nothing but great beer, but it gave them the opportunity to go nationwide with these beers. So,
well, it opened up international markets, really.
Yeah.
Dogfish Head, they got brought by Sam Adams.
But you know what? I would say that the one thing about Sam Adams is that they've never been. I don't know what it is on the East Coast, but here they've never considered like big beer.
It sells. I definitely used to like their cherry wheat, but that's a brand I would like to pick. If I had to pick 2 people within the beer culture to pick their brains,
right?
It would be Garrett Oliver, and I can't even think of his name, of the founder of Sam Adams. Have you seen their fucking stock prices lately?
I can only imagine,
bro. That shit went from 100, 200. That shit is $1,200 a share. So
what do you think they did for Dogfish Head?
You bought Dogfish Head for $300 million.
So that's my point.
That was before when you brought Dogfish Head for $300 million. when that came out, I think that was like post-pandemic, and their shares may have been like $200 to $300 a share. Sam Adams, I mean, at that time, Sam Adams is at $1,200 now. And dog, like,
yeah,
and that was like a half deal. It was like half in stock options and half in cash. So you're really up, like super up. Mm-hmm. I don't really want to sell. I don't want to build the company to sell it. I really want something. I want like a Yuengling. I want some 100-year.
But even Yuengling just did a deal with somebody so they could be across the country.
Mm-hmm.
That just happened because I said,
they're still independent. I remember they were beefing. It was like Sam Adams a few years back. Like Sam Adams, the biggest independent beer, and like England was just like, yeah, you're public, so you really don't even know how much beer we actually sell.
But until I came to Pennsylvania, I had no clue how big Yuengling is and how old they are. And it's still family owned. It's crazy.
It's still private. It's like that's the goal.
Yeah.
But I don't want like a massive place,
But I
talk around a lot. To go back to your question, the idea once I get a brick and mortar location, the next step is to make a move. I don't really want to get into a lot of restaurants. I want to get on airplanes.
Oh shit!
Damn.
That's some shit I haven't heard.
You're saying it first, and just because I just said that, watch is gonna be, that's the only part I'm gonna say.
What I'll tell you, Dave.
I'm trying to think if I ever had seen anything other than a Miller or a Bud on a plane.
I have.
If you get on Delta, you see Sweetwater.
Yes, I've been on. I got on. It was Iceland Air, craft beer all day. They didn't have no domestic. They had beer from Iceland and they had beer from the United States. I was like, oh shit, I'm about to win on my way to England.
Hey, and just think about it. Like, imagine being on a plane and it's like, even if you're just a person that drinks because you're scared of heights, you see what I'm saying? You got Bombay, or you can get this 12-ounce, 10% beer.
Yeah, bro. I'm gonna cut this part out of the podcast. Nobody needs to know that plan. I have never heard that. That's brilliant, actually.
Hey man, it's a lot. I just want to change the narrative on just craft beer and how it's perceived, and take it to the next level. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I'm saying I'm the youngest. I'm pretty sure somebody right now that's plotting and planning, that's definitely going to be extremely younger than me. I'm only 32. So.
You're young as fuck.
I think we realized that when he wasn't talking about, when the Jordans first came out. That's when I was like,
that is true.
Yeah, I was stocking the shoe shelves back then.
Hey man, I love a Jordan 10. Jordan 10 is like my all-time favorite fucking shoe.
I don't know what the fucking. I don't know the numbers. I know the Jordan that I had. The ones
that have all his stats from his rookie year.
Oh yeah, those were dope.
93 on the sole.
Yeah, those were dope. I think I was a Jordan. Like, what year did I buy some Jordan? I had the red and the white ones. That was probably like 92.
So I was
before you were born and shit.
I was so.
You were like two. You were like two.
I was selling shoes late 80s, early 90s.
I got sons close to my oldest son will be 30 this year. So.
Oh man, you know what's crazy? I have a picture with me wearing the Sixes, and I'm sitting with Jason Williams.
Really?
I have a picture with Jason Williams. He's holding me, and this is back when the Sixers were practicing at St. Joe's. And it was just like, it's back in the day. It's open practice. Ain't nobody cared. It wasn't like security. You want to watch a practice, you can come in.
I remember putting on the shelves on the store wall, the storefront wall, right? The Barclays next to the Jordans, and it was you knew which fans were coming in to take which ones.
Hey, listen, man, it was those, and honestly, I think I put it on Twitter one time, because it's actually, if you go to my Twitter page, it has the iconic Allen Iverson walking over Louisville. And I want to be the Allen Iverson of craft beer.
There you go. I love it.
I want to
practice.
the whole narrative on everything.
I'm trying to look up the year of my Jordans. I can't remember.
Well,
I couldn't find them. You know what I'm
saying? First Jordans were what, 85, 86?
86, yeah, the Jordan 1s. And the crazy part is, he's probably making more money off of the Jordan 1s than any other pair of shoes because of it's a cup sole. Like that's the cheapest sole you can have on a shoe. And it's like the cost to make that shoe versus how much they charge for it now. Oh, they're making money hand over fist. That's why so many ones. When you look at it, it's always a Jordan 1 coming out. That's why. The profit margin is fucking astronomical.
Now you're a sneaker guy. Have you ever?
I'm a sneaker guy.
Have you ever gone on and designed your own?
Honestly, the crazy part is I'm actually thinking about it. It is a special edition.
I can't wait.
Sneaker that I want.
And that's awesome. So I just designed some for my son for his birthday.
Ooh.
I made him his own.
What kind?
So they were. I don't even know what the brand was. I just found this website, and he likes to design. He's a history nerd. He's 14 now.
Okay.
But he's big into flags, and so he designed his own flag. So I took that design and I put it all over a shoe.
Oh man,
it was fun. It was a blast. It freaked him out when he saw it. He's like, "You actually did a shoe?"
Hey, listen, man. It's when it comes to sneakers. My son, it's crazy. We're talking about sneakers. My son, I got him a pair of Jordan 1s for his 4th birthday, and magically he can still fit them a year later. I'm pretty sure he's going to have like a crazy growth spurt.
Enjoy those moments when they're not growing crazy,
man. It was one time he just had different pair of shoes because we kept having to buy shoes because he just plays so much. And we had so many different pairs, like he keeps messing them up. And then he just had a growth spurt. He went up like 2 sizes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like all them shoes, I just had to give them to a friend. Like, here you go.
Like it gets worse.
He can. I'm pretty sure it does. See, I wear.
We had one year. He went. He went a foot and a half in 1 year.
Yeah, man. He looks at my sneakers.
I think that's my first pee break on the podcast.
I think that is a first.
Seal.
I was moving around earlier today. We did have one time where he had to leave.
I had to leave because somebody hit my car.
Somebody hit his car in the parking lot, so there's that. But bro, hey, it's been a pleasure to have you on, man. Tell people where they can find you on the social medias.
Mack Brewing Co. MACK Brewing ING Co. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Instagram, I typically.
You don't know about MySpace, do you?
Man, if I could remember my password on MySpace,
you were probably 5 years old when you had a MySpace. Let's keep it real.
I don't even, at that time, I wasn't even thinking that, keeping something that long was going to be in play. But I wish I did because I would be on there. Me and Tom.
So you shouted those out.
Know everything that's going on. Typically, I know it's a lot of people that message me on Facebook. I apologize because it's between Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, and I don't even write a lot on Twitter, but I'm always responding to DMs. So Facebook, I'm definitely getting better with it.
Well, I appreciate you responding on Instagram.
See, Instagram is how you can reach me.
Okay, gotcha.
You had reached me I had just took a hiatus off of social media.
Right.
So it's just just to kind of just gather myself, man.
This is a lot. Those are important.
This is a lot. Starting a business period is a lot. Starting a brewery is a lot. And I don't think people know how strenuous it is.
If you ever need some advice, right here in Kansas City area, I think I'm up to 8 friends who have started breweries in the last 3 years.
Listen, you about to make me fly out.
Bro, I'm telling you,
have a sit down.
I got a buddy. He's opening one. Shout out to Brad Steele and Broken Hatchet.
2 weeks.
He opens in 2 weeks, and then I've got some homeboys who are this year 3 years in. We're talking 8 people. So if you ever need some on the ins and outs, the one thing about the Kansas City brew scene,
It's family.
It's all love. It's
Well,
all
you
love.
said that. You listen. If you didn't do anything else, if it wasn't for COVID, I think you would have a lot of people in Kansas City. Because when I met you, it was like, all right, listen, this is all dope. This is great. How can we get y'all to Kansas?
I really was about that though. Can we just come to Kansas City?
Nigel, because listen, how can we get you to Kansas City? What's up? You trying to come?
Yeah.
Like, I'm with it. Like it's like, listen,
and it's only grown. It grew last year. We added maybe 4 breweries during COVID.
I was gonna say maybe half a dozen.
We had no breweries close here.
We did not lose a brewery during COVID.
You know, shout out to my dudes at Diametric. They did this event.
Knock on wood when I act like it's over.
Yeah. They did this event. It was called Together We Can. And literally all the breweries that were closed, they brought all their beers to one brewery, and you could go online and come drive through and pick up your order. And we
they were loading up their trunks with beers from every brewer.
We had people who would come, and we had people come from Arkansas that would come and get $900 in beer.
From Omaha, Nebraska.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you can't. And the crazy part about it is when it comes to this entrepreneur and running a business, people always think you have to do everything on your own to make your money. If you're not making money with other people, you're not going to make it.
No, think of all the successful entrepreneurs you know. They all are going to tell you a story about the deals they did with their friends.
Absolutely.
Partnerships, man. It's all partnerships.
When you ready to do a collab down here in Kansas City, I got you.
Listen, we can make it happen.
It don't have
to be a reason.
That's the easy button. All you got to do is show up.
Listen,
I'll be looking
for flights. DM me your phone number because I need to have your address so I can send you guys some beer. So before I come out, I don't want to come out there. You gotta taste my beer like this shitty shit. We should have never invited you. I want to send the beer first.
But you know what? I like him just because he said shitty shit.
this shit. We might have to delete that episode.
No. You know what? Let's say it wasn't good. You know what I would do? I got several people I hook you up with. You can just learn some shit.
Hey, look, we already know you travel with your brew kit, so I'm not worried.
And trust me, I've seen enough people with your beer to know it ain't shitty.
Hey, man, appreciate it. Thank you.
It ain't shitty shit.
It ain't the shitty shit. It's probably the opposite.
Yeah.
It's the shitty shit because it's fucking dope.
Well, we already know Garrett Oliver gave it his approval.
Hello.
Listen.
Do I need to quote Herm Edwards? You play to win the game. Garrett Oliver gave you the blessing? You kidding me? I'm sorry. I hate you. Nick, where can they find us? Where can they find us, Nick?
You can find the Beers with Nigel podcast at Beers with Nigel on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and just about any of your favorite podcast apps. You feel like watching us? You feel like looking at
that's way more fun.
Well, that watch pretty face. You can watch us.
I mean, you got a face for podcast.
I got a face for radio, man. You can watch us on YouTube, on Vimeo,
and where else?
Or
Facebook?
Go to our website. Facebook? I think we put it on Facebook.
Oh, we got merch as well.
And we got some merch. If you want your beer gear, check out beerswithnigel.com.
We ain't got no satin fucking jackets.
But I'm telling you, I'm going to look at making one now. And you know what else, Nigel? This.
You've been listening to Beers with Nigel, a show about beer and other stuff, hosted by Nigel Woodbury and that other guy, Nick Parker. Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, providing bumper-to-bumper graphic design, promo products, and print services. Find them at direoil.com. Beers with Nigel is a proud member of the Fredcast Network and is available on all of your favorite podcast flavors. Find Beers with Nigel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and ask Alexa to play the Beers with Nigel podcast.